welcome to the Dr. Tunishai Ford Show. I am so excited about today's show. Have you ever wondered what happened to Hitzville? What's going on with Motown right now? Well, my next guest, my guest today, is going to be able to answer all those questions for you. This man is a promoter for some of the greatest artists of our time. He's also the CEO and president of the Motown Alumni Association, Mr. Billy Wilson. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show today.
Welcome.
I am so honored to have you as my guest today.
I'm excited. I'm excited about being here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask a question. What inspired you to start the Motown Alumni Association?
I was doing I was working with Martha Reeves, and she had a community program here in Detroit, and she had just come home from one of the artists' funeral, Melvin Franklin from the Temptation, the bass singer of the Temptation. And she was saying that it's sad that she's not able to see her friends.
Okay.
So I thought, well, why don't you start an alumni association? And she said, where you come up with that cockamamie idea? I didn't think it was cockamamie, so I decided to move forward with it.
And started a show. Okay.
Started a
So
show.
how long has the association been in existence?
Well, we were around in '95.
Okay.
I started then, and also was started on the internet then, because it's an internet-based organization. And since then, 10,000 members later, 25 branches later, about 5 million emails later, we've grown since then.
Okay, that's really interesting. Now, I consider you to be an expert about what's going on with Motown right now, and I know that based on our conversation, you were just a little boy when Motown really started. You know what I'm saying? But now you have this association, and can you tell me what is the meaning behind Hitzville? What was Hitzville?
It was Barry Gordy's dream. He wanted to be a songwriter.
Okay.
He didn't necessarily want to be a record executive, but he realized that for him to make he had to produce his own songs, and as a songwriter for Jackie Wilson, he wasn't making any money doing that.
So who were the key players when Hitzville started?
They had a number of people. There were 5 primary people.
Okay.
It was Barry Gordy, Raynoma, his wife, Robert Bateman, Smokey Robinson, and I don't remember who the 5th person was. I can't think right now, but there were 5 people,
Okay.
the original 5 people.
All right.
And I believe it was Esther.
Okay, now I want to know, probably a lot of people are interested about this. What role did whites play in the development of Hitzville and Motown coming to its fame?
Everything,
Okay.
actually. Al Abrams was the first person hired. He was from Hamtramck. He was a Jewish guy from Hamtramck. He was a young guy.
Okay.
And Barry Gordy gave him a song to promote. He wanted to work for this company, and Barry said, well, here, you promote this song. This guy was from Canada, Czechoslovakia somewhere, I think by way of Czechoslovakia. And he said, if you can get this guy on the radio, I'll hire you.
Okay.
Now, to get him on black radio, guy from Czechoslovakia, And so Al went to black radio station, and the next thing you know, Barry Gordy driving down the street, and he hears his song on the radio.
Okay.
And so by the time he got back to the office, Al was sitting there on the steps. He said, well, where's my job?
Okay.
So Al was the initial person that done the promotion. He coined the phrase, the sound of young America.
Okay, heard of that.
Yeah, he has something to do with the Hitzville, USA name and that type of thing. He done all the promotion that we've seen in the years.
Okay.
But that was one person. And
All
then
right.
Barney Ailes came a little bit after, and he was part of the marketing staff that engineered getting into the white radio station.
Okay. Now, I know that a lot of people want to know this. Are there any artists that were probably on the label that we did not know about? I think when we talked, you mentioned something about, now, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat Boone?
Pat
Okay.
Boone, and his entire family.
His entire family.
His entire family. The
Okay, Pat
Boone
Boone.
family,
Okay.
and people like Granny from the Beverly
Oh
Hillbillies.
my God, what did she sing?
She sang.
Oh my.
She was a singer.
Okay.
I think she even sung the song on one of the episodes that of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Okay.
I think she sung her song on
Okay.
one of those episodes.
Okay, what about Sammy Davis? I think he was on the label, wasn't he?
He had his own label.
Okay.
And I think he only done one song before him and Barry had it out, and they decided not to continue their relationship.
Wow, isn't that something?
Diane Carroll,
Okay.
she was on the Motown.
I know she sang, right.
Leslie Uggins. The lady that, Paige, her last name is Paige, but she was Aunt Esther on Red Fox.
Okay, let me ask you this. What was the image? What was the image that Berry Gordy was trying to create? You know, because there were other record labels that were springing up at that time. So here's Motown, and it's like I know for a fact he groomed his people. So what was the image that Berry Gordy was trying to create at that time?
Well, he wanted to create an image that would be respectable around the world, an image that would be respected around the world. Maxine Powell said that she wanted to groom her students so that they could stand before kings and queens, and that was part of their philosophy. That's if you look at how they structured everything, it was all based around respect.
Yes.
And he wanted the world to respect them.
Okay.
You know, not just Black America. He would, Smokey said that, you know, Barry sat everybody around at once and said, we are not making music for just one group. We're making music for the world.
Great, that's wonderful. What is the Motown sound? What was that? You know, the Motown sound.
It was a mixture of things. For example, Smokey had his style.
Okay.
You know, and his style was very dyslexic. It was a variety of different types of sounds.
Okay.
You know, but as to where, because he was creative like that. You know, he can go to the Temptations and come up with the Temptation sound, a sound that would fit the Temptations, or he could go to the Marvelettes and create stuff like that. But the primary sound evolved around Holland Dozier Holland.
Okay.
That group of guys, and they wanted to make music. They call it the formula.
Okay.
They wanted to make music that white people could communicate with, and black people could communicate with too.
That's what I wanted to hear. Yes.
So they one of the pieces of the formula was a style that they used in their structure. You know, this format, because as black people, we see white people on TV and they use this. They clap like this a lot.
Okay. Okay.
But so they might use songs like "Baby, Baby, Where Did Our Love Go?" or "Come See About Me."
Okay. Okay.
Or "Jimmy."
Okay, I got you. Got you.
You see.
I got you. Okay. Now I want to ask you one more question. Right now, you don't really hear that much about what's going on with. I mean, Hitzville is just a museum right now on West Grand Boulevard, and it's come and gone. Berry Gordy's retired. You know, he's enjoying his money. So right now, do you think that? And can you briefly just tell me that? Do you think that Motown got the respect that it should have gotten it? And just give me that in a few seconds.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's gotten its respect. I don't know if it's gotten its respect in Detroit.
Okay, but it
But
has
the rest of the world, recognizes Detroit. I can go down 30 miles and those people would jump crazy over
Okay.
anything pertaining to Motown.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have right now. We're going to take a break and everything, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Experience this life-changing story that will leave you refreshed, renewed, and inspired to face life's most challenging times. This is a comma, not a period in your life, by Dr. Tunishai Ford. You will never look at sickness and other life's challenges the same again. This is a comma, not a period in your life, by Dr. Tunishai Ford. Go to www.drtford.com to order today.
You're sleeping on Rough Dog Entertainment. The package, the album, is in stores right now, featuring songs like Facebook Pro, D-Boy Thing, and we know y'all love that Chevy Sitting High. You can also download it on iTunes or Amazon. And check us out on Facebook, Moco Space, and YouTube. Rough Dog ENT. RUFFDOGGENT.
Would you like to know who the father is for professional DNA testing that costs less than a do-it-yourself kit called DNA Dimensions? It's easy. With a simple swab of the mouth, you can put all doubt to rest. Confidential results in 3 business days. DNA Dimensions, with convenient locations in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. Walk-ins welcome in Detroit and Flint. Call toll-free 855-DNA-TEST. That's 855-362-8378. DNA Dimensions, removing all doubt.
Our guest today is Mr. Billy Wilson. We're talking about Hitzville Revisited, the Untold Story. Before we left, I asked you the question about, did you think that Motown got the proper respect, before they actually left the city?
Yes, I think they got the respect from the world.
Okay.
I don't know if they got as much respect from the city. I'm from Ypsilanti,
Okay.
a little town 30 miles west of here. So we got a chance. We were like the general public. We got a chance to look into the city like everybody else. And from what I see, I live in Detroit now.
Okay.
And from what I've seen, there's still nothing that represents the fact that Detroit actually respects them. I see the big fist.
Right. That's what I was looking at, because I don't see a monument for Motown.
Something.
Right.
Something.
You have a statue of Joe Louis.
One of the biggest organizations that's ever come out of this town, ever. Even with the Joe Louis thing, that happened for a moment and it left, and most of us have forgotten about that. But those of us who were very, very young, some of us were born, some of us were not. But we don't remember that moment very well. But we do remember Motown moments. People seem to be talking about that a little more often. And people are still living.
Still living there.
But they talk about the Motown moments.
Okay. So at this time, right now, you think that although Motown has left, and that was something else that we're going to revisit one day, I'm going to have you come back as a guest, but I want to know what Motown is doing right now, and that'll probably be a future show. But I really do appreciate you being on our show, and we'll be right back with another commercial.
Wouldn't you like to know if you're the father? For professional DNA testing that costs less than a do-it-yourself kit called DNA Dimensions. It's easy. With a simple swab of the mouth, you can put all doubt to rest. Confidential results in 3 business days. DNA Dimensions, with convenient locations in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. Walk-ins welcome in Detroit and Flint. Call toll-free 855-DNA-TEST. That's 855-362-8378. DNA Dimensions, removing all doubt.
Experience this life-changing story that will leave you refreshed, renewed, and inspired to face life's most challenging times. This is a comma, not a period in your life, by Dr. Tunishai Ford. You will never look at sickness and other life's challenges the same again. This is a comma, not a period in your life, by Dr. Tunishai Ford. Go to www.drtford.com to order today.
Rough Dog ENT showing you so much love that you can download our mixtape 2.5 for free. That's right, for free on thatpiff.com. Rough Dog Entertainment showing you so much love that you can download our mixtape 2.5 for free on thatpiff.com. That's DATPIFF.com. 3.0 coming soon. Rough Dog Entertainment. Don't be mad cause you ain't it. Check us out on Facebook, Moco Space, and YouTube. RUFFDOGGENT.
Welcome back. I'm also honored to have on this show Mr. Fred Bridges. Now, Mr. Bridges has a very interesting history because during Hitzville, he was not actually with Motown, but he knew a lot of the Motown artists that were really booming at that time. Mr. Bridges is at the time a producer, a songwriter, and he's also the road manager for the present Four Tops. Thank you so much. Welcome to our show, Mr. Fred Bridges. I want to ask a question. Now, when we had a conversation, you told me that you were not really part of Motown, but you knew all the greats. So at that time, what were you doing?
Well, what really happened was I went into service in '56.
Okay.
And for 4 years in the Air Force. When I came out in '60, my buddies, Marv Johnson, the Four Tops, Smokey, all of them was hitting it. I had to bow down to them. But all the time, before I went, I was singing with them, around them, because, Detroit was a wealth of talent. I mean, they had groups here. I remember before '56, they had Phil Waddell Rock and Roll Show down by the Greystone Ballroom on Woodward. And they had 56 groups.
56?
56, Phil Waddell, and they had a competition like they have now, like Idol, but here in Detroit. And they had a battle down there, and got the results was a recording contract or this or that. None of us got anything, but it was a big thing in Detroit.
So why didn't you, what happened with Motown? Are you around, some of the people that you told me that you hung around with, why didn't you try to get with Motown, Berry Gordy?
When I went to service and come back, and all the attention was on them.
Okay.
I looking at myself coming in there, I thought about it, but it didn't make sense for me to be on the bottom. The attention was on Marvin Gaye and the Temptations and the Four Tops and where the Contours and the eyes, everybody, it just didn't pan out for me. I knew that if I got in there, I would be the least. So I just went other places. And there was other recording companies within it.
Okay, now see, that brings me to my next point. There were other recording studios.
Yeah.
Now, but Motown outlasted them all, for the most part. So what was Berry Gordy doing that the other recording labels were not doing?
It wasn't that. It's just he busted out.
He busted out.
Wealth of talent, and it busted out. I mean, Marv Johnson, I believe he leased or sold him to United Artists, which helped him. And he had all the hits. All the hits was, Motown had, I don't know how many artists in the top 100, Billboard's top 100.
But you're a songwriter. Okay, but now, did you ever write any of the songs for any of the Motown artists at the time?
Yeah, the Four Tops.
Just the Four Tops?
See, you're talking about the whole thing. In the beginning, no. In the beginning, when I came back, I was concentrating on me.
Okay.
I wanted to bust.
Because you were a singer.
Yeah, I was singing then also.
Which group did you sing with?
I did a lot of background work. At Motown, I'd be there with Marvin or Lawrence of the Four Tops, and they'd come out and say, come on, we need a background voice for this tune, that tune. When the artist was out on the road, they were still cutting. And some of the records, some other people was singing, especially Holland Doja Holland stuff. They didn't stop because an artist was not there. I was on a lot of them, but I just don't know what, because at that time, some of them didn't even know what name of the tunes was going to be.
Okay.
So I was singing active. One I know I was on was Martin Luther King. They cut an album on him back then, in the beginning of it, and I was on that singing, and I couldn't tell you the tunes, but I was on there. But I was outside inside. I could walk in there anytime, but I didn't participate. I wasn't as a signed member of Motown.
So let me ask a question, and either one of you can answer this question. Did you consider Motown to be like race music? Was it race music?
The tone was already set.
Okay.
Barry busted it, and it was the musicians and and the songs that was done. For instance, Lamont Dozier, the chords structure that he did was Bach. You know, it was symphony stuff. And then you had the musicians, the Funk Brothers, was jazz musicians.
Okay.
And they played those chords. And you had those writers and the tunes and the singers, all that hit together with Barry. And that's why that the other Golden World, they busted out, Magic City, you know, there was others, but Barry and them, he had the wealth of talent.
He had the wealth of talent. That brings me to my next question. Mr. Wilson, you can answer this question for me. Who were the white artists that were on the label that, you know, that we may not have heard of, or maybe we did hear of them, but we didn't know they were on the label? Some of the white artists.
Yeah, the Boone family, Pat Boone and his
You told us
family.
about that.
We talked about that. The Valadiers.
Valadiers.
They were the first white group to be on the Motown label. Chris Clark.
Chris Clark, okay.
Yeah, she was the first. She was the bombshell.
The
You know,
bombshell.
she was tall and beautiful, and she was on the label. She's a painter now. She's a painter and an artist in California. I mean, she's still doing stuff.
Okay, but tell me about the Motown Review. You know, what instituted that? When did that get started, the Motown Review?
That started actually with they had a thing called the Motor City Special. It was a Christmas. They had it during Christmas every year. You know, it was the Motor City Special, and it was all the Motown artists that they had that were doing a little something. One of the people that was part of that was Willie Tyler and Les.
I remember that. Yes, there was a puppet act. Yes, okay, I remember that.
And Winehead Willie and just different people that were a part of the Motown show during that time. And then later on they called it the Motown Review because they started taking it on the road then. Because the Motown specials was so great, they were like, well, we might as well take this on the road.
So how far did it go? I mean, did it go overseas? How far did it go?
Eventually, it went overseas. Kim Weston was the first Motown artist to go. She was sort of the guinea pig.
Okay.
Because they had never had black artists from Motown over there. So she went over with Jack Ashford and some of the other musicians, a couple of the other musicians. It was somewhat successful.
Okay. Okay, I have one more question I want to ask you. We talked about some of the things that you experienced with some of the artists. Can you tell us a story? Tell us a story that nobody would ever know about but you. Just choose one. How about Stevie Wonder? You knew Stevie Wonder when he was just a little tight.
Well, everybody embraced him.
Yes.
As the new kid on the block. And though he was blind, he would run around and play with everybody like he wasn't. You know, he would go up to somebody and ask, like Billy. He said, Billy said, what has she got on? What color? You have a blue blouse on. Well, about 30 minutes later, he'll walk up to you, or you'll come by and he'll say, well, that sure is a beautiful blue. And people was always amazed how he do that. But he'd think ahead. And even now, he'd think ahead. We would play hide and go seek in the two buildings when they had the three buildings hooked together. And he would run down. I gotta guess that he must have count the steps because he could stop at the door after he hit it a couple times, and he had scars to prove it. He'd hit it a couple times, but he would run through there just like he was everybody else that he could see.
And you all were like family, and you'd help to get this to...
Well, embrace him because he was having hits too. You know, what's that, fingertips, and you know, so he was just as popular as everybody else. Marvin Gaye, the tops, the tips. You know, it was great.
You all were talking about Marvin Gaye, the stamp. You all were trying to get endorsements for him to become a stamp.
That was the Motown Alumni Association. Ron Brewington, he's my president-elect out in California. He was the initiator of the Marvin Gaye, a stamp for Marvin.
Okay, all right, we're going to have to just revisit this and everything, but I really do appreciate you all being on my show and everything. We're going to come back at another time and talk about this further. Thank you all for joining me today, and stay tuned for Dr. Tunishai Ford's inspirational thoughts. Thank you.
Wouldn't you like to know who the father is for professional DNA testing that costs less than a do-it-yourself kit called DNA Dimensions? It's easy. With a simple swab of the mouth, you can put all doubt to rest. Confidential results in 3 business days. DNA Dimensions with convenient locations in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. Walk-ins welcome in Detroit and Flint. Call toll-free 855-DNA-TEST. That's 855-362-8378. DNA Dimensions, removing all doubt.
Experience this life-changing story that will leave you refreshed, renewed, and inspired to face life's most challenging times. This is a comma, not a period in your life, by Dr. Tunishai Ford. You will never look at sickness and other life's challenges the same again. This is a comma, not a period in your life, by Dr. Tunishai Ford. Go to www.drtford.com to order today.
You're sleeping on Rough Dog Entertainment, the package. The album is in stores right now, featuring songs like Facebook Pro, D-Boy Thing, and we know y'all love that Chevy sitting high. You can also download it on iTunes or Amazon, and check us out on Facebook, Moco Space, and YouTube. Rough Dog ENT, RUFFDOGGENT.
Welcome back to my inspirational thoughts. Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but only the purpose of God will be fulfilled. You may ask, what is purpose? Purpose is a deliberate and divine mandate from God that first glorifies Him, justifies man's existence, and also serves mankind. If you are doing those 3 things, then you are walking in your purpose. Be glad today and know that God is your source, and He wants you to walk on that path. Thank you for joining me with Dr. Tunishai Ford's Inspirational Thoughts. Thank you.